Welcome to the third part of this lecture, and we just finished watching two of the Harlow deprivation studies, where we saw how the monkeys that were raised in isolation, or with the wire mom or the cloth mom, tended to choose to be around the cloth mom, indicating to us the importance of proprioception and physical touch in the psychological development of the infant, and how even though the mother that fed the infants, the wire mom, was the one providing them sustenance, when they were scared, they still preferred to move towards the cloth mom. The experiments are pretty terrible, but they do tell us about the importance of proprioception in the development of the infant. There are changes in proprioception that occur with age. However, there's very little research conducted on this topic. There appears to be a reduction in sensitivity as the absolute threshold of the stimulus appears to be increased in order to actually feel something. So, for example, you need to have something that's hotter or sharper, and the sensitivity is lower. So, whatever the stimulus is, it needs to be more in order to elicit a response. So this leads us to the question, did newborns feel pain? The answer is yes. Unfortunately, researchers believed that the pain receptors of infants were not fully developed and they could not feel pain. As a result, no anesthetics were given during infant operations, which is absolutely terrible because we now know that the somatosensory cortex, that is in charge of pain reception, begins functioning before birth, and babies react strongly to painful stimulus. This is really sad for the babies in the past, but it's really good that they discovered this now, because now the babies get anesthetics and they're not in pain during their surgeries. Another aspect of perception that develops with age is the perception of the body. Aspects of body perception include body awareness and the identification of body parts. It is essentially a function of practice, and most 6-year-olds can identify major body parts, and there are rare mistakes that take place after the age of 9. But why is this even important? Children need to develop body awareness of their body's spatial relationship to external object, and the recognition of body parts is the first step in that process. When developing spatial dimensions of self in relation to others, children learn up-down first, followed by front-back, and then the sides. For most children, the self-reference is better than the object reference, meaning that younger children can place an object around them in reference to themselves, but when you ask them to place an object in a direction in reference to another object, they tend to struggle. By the age of 4, most children can place an object in reference to another object. So meaning if I tell a child to place an object in front of them, they'll probably be able to do that. But if I tell them place an object in front of or behind this doll that I hand to them, they tend to struggle significantly more when doing that. In order to study how this process develops, researchers designed an experiment where they had children feed themselves had them feed a Cookie Monster placed on their lap, and had them feed a Cookie Monster placed across from them. In each of these feeding situations, you, as an adult, will change your grip on the spoon so that the food will remain on the spoon and your hand will be in a comfortable position. When studying this using 4-year-olds and 8-year-olds, they found that the younger children held the spoon used to hold the food in the same configuration in all 3 feeding scenarios, while the 8-year-olds changed their grip based on the given scenario. This shows the development of self-perception is in relation to other objects does not fully develop until around 8 years old. So far we've discussed the development of perception, and according to the theory of intermodal perception, the perceptual systems do not operate in isolation. There are two different perspectives on the development of perception, and these are the integrational and the unified perspectives. The integrational perspective states that since the energy mode reaching the different senses is in different forms, sensory integration is a process that infants need to develop. Infants need to develop a way to synthesize and integrate these different forms of energy to create a clearer perception of the world. This is different than the unified perspective, which says that the mode of delivery is fairly irrelevant because the senses are united in bringing information about the same event. Since many of the patterns are similar across different senses, infants need to develop ways to detect the invariant or constant features that appear across the different senses. For example, when we see a drummer, we simultaneously see the drumstick and hear the sound of the drum. The unified perspective states that we develop the ability to recognize that our visual and auditory inputs are providing us with information about the same event. That concludes the information part of our lecture, and now I'm just going to take a couple minutes to talk about our project proposal. The first part of this project proposal is due on June 28th, and it's an extra 2 days after the module is due. The instructions should be pretty self-explanatory, as you need to pick a developmental stage, choose an aspect of motor development, search for articles in scholarly journals, and choose a format in which you will creatively present this information. You are required to submit a one-page document outlining the information above, and the final proposal Part 1 document on D2L will outline the details of this assignment. If you have any questions still after reading that, please feel free to email me or meet with me, and I'll be happy to go over any questions that you have in regards to that first proposal anytime. I hope you guys had a good time listening to this lecture, even though there were some slightly traumatic parts of it. I hope that you're still doing okay. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.